Guarandiri, guau, 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 guau. Ah, guau, 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 guau. Guararía, guau, guau, guau. Sili, wili, 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 guau, 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 guau. ¡Vamos allá! Vamos a ver, vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Señores, quiero cantarle al amor, oigan bien. Y a todo aquel que lo sienta, quiero cantarle al amor. Vamos a ver, 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 vamos a ver. Y a todo aquel que lo sienta, no es cosa sencilla esta cuando se trata de amor. Oigan palabras sencillas, oigan bien. Tan solo de 4 letras, que es muy fácil pronunciarla, pero todos no demuestran. Hay quien no lloró por amor, oigan bien. Yo quiero que alguien me diga, para luego responderle que esto es una gran mentira. Repito palabras sencillas, vamos a ver. Pero se sufre bastante. No es mentira, no es alarde, si se sufre en el amor. Oigan, y no es que lo diga yo, pero si algo ya afirmo, de que no está en mis manos, pero sí en las de Cupido. Mira, yo tengo un amor sincero, que sí me quiere bastante. Yo tengo un amor sincero, vamos a ver, que sí me quiere bastante. No confundan, caballeros, estoy hablando de mi madre. Ya, va, 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 vele, 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 va, 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 va. Yoruba. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Oigan bien, vamos a ver, vamos a ver. ¡Qué lindo! ¡Vamos allá! Oiga, quiero cantarle al amor, quiero cantarle al amor, esta linda melodía nacida de corazón, repítelo.
Quiero cantarle al amor, quiero cantarle al amor, esta linda melodía nacida de corazón.
Señores, quiero cantarle al amor, quiero cantarle al amor, esta linda melodía melodía nacida de corazón. Díselo.
Quiero cantarle al amor,
Guan, guan,
quiero
oh.
cantarle al amor, esta linda melodía nacida de corazón.
Mi madre yo la venero, por eso quiero cantarle al amor. Esta linda melodía nacida del corazón. Oye,
Quiero cantarle al amor,
dice.
quiero cantarle al amor, esta linda melodía nacida de corazón.
¿Quién no ha llorado por amor? Que a quien me diga.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Para decirle mentira.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Oye, todos sufrimos y lloramos.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Sí, lloramos porque si amamos.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Repito, mi madre yo la venero.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Madre, por eso tanto te quiero.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Madre, no quiero que te vayas nunca, no.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Oye, sin ti no tengo alegría.
¿Quién no ha llorado
No quiero que llegue ese maldito día.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Madre, que tú tengas que irte.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Oye, tanto cariño me diste.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Madre, que olvidarte lo logré.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Mamá, tú me pudiste la fe.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Oye, en tantos años de victoria.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Madre, te llevaré la memoria.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Madre, pero tú eres maravillosa.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Madre, pero tú eres la llave.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Oye, porque afino mi tango.
¿Quién no ha llorado
Dice, llora como yo lloré. Ahí, háblalo.
Llora como yo lloré
Oye, yo lloré también. Oye, pero llora, llorona. Revivo, Madre Santa. Llora, huevanana. Oye, con sentimiento en los oídos. Señores, por eso mismo les digo. Oye, yo Guanabo le canta. Huevanana. Con Yoruba, con yo candela La Habana. Dice, ahí nada más, machetona, che.
ahí nada más
Machetona.
ahí nada más
Oye, con sentimiento de manana.
ahí nada más
Por eso desde ahora hasta mañana.
ahí nada más
Oye, yo Guanabo le canta.
ahí nada más
Machetona.
ahí nada más
Oye, lo miro, mambo me lleva.
ahí nada más
Dice, machetona. Repite mi coro Yoruba.
machetona
Machetona, che.
machetona
Oye, Yoruba andado te dice.
machetona
Machetona.
machetona
Ave, caballero.
machetona
Háblalo.
machetona
Machetona, che. Caballero. La rumba me la llevo.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
There we are.
How you doing? Yeah, no, sorry. I'm learning all about it. We got some music. We have
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you hearing the music? Because I'm definitely hearing the music.
right now still.
Yeah, right now, I'm digging it.
Boom, done.
Fire.
We're live on
Awesome.
Instagram. I figured out how that works.
Oh, I just have okay.
You just have to do the same process, but do one step, wait. Do the next step, wait. Like 30 seconds. It's just like there's a long lag time.
Who knew? Shit.
Yeah, no, not me. It only took me about 6 weeks to figure it out, but here we are.
Hey, we're gonna get it eventually.
Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're viewing this from. My name is Danny McAtee. This is my friend, co-host, CT Duel, and this is the Forge Men's Group. Although, because this is a live platform, everyone is welcome. The Forge is a closed group, but this live is open to the public. And I've put the link for an invitation to join on Facebook and LinkedIn. So please feel free to jump on camera and say hello. We'd love to hear your thoughts. How are you today?
I think I was frozen there for about a good 60 seconds,
You were frozen.
but I'm back. I was frozen. Yeah, I'm back, man. I'm good. I'm doing all right.
I have a question for you.
Ask away.
I'm going to put it here for the public as well.
Okay.
What if you said aloud what you think in private?
What if I said aloud what I think in private? I'd be canceled, fired, beaten up.
Say more.
I said aloud. I guess, are you getting at kind of what the things that we want to say to people, the boundaries we want to assert, the boldness we want to exude, but we don't? Is that kind of, or are you just talking about like like just terrible jokes?
I'm looking for all of it. And the reason I'm asking is because you and I have spoken about, many people talk about flow state, flight state, right? Feed and breed versus fight or flight. So where is our nervous system at a baseline? And our nervous system at a baseline starts internally and then moves outward. What I feel is I have spent a lot of time creating this outward shell of what I expect or is clearly expected of me or what I believe is expected of me. And almost all the time, it's not in line with what's going on inside my mind. I'm like, good morning, how are you? Fucking bitch, you piece of shit. You know, you did this, you said this, you're a rude, all this different stuff. And so that imbalance pulls in one direction. And a lot of times my inside voice wins. Right. And so how I show up has to do with how my nervous system is, how my thoughts are, how my pulse is, right? How my vibe is. And what I project into the world is oftentimes it is fake.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. Yeah, I think it's a tough balance to strike, right? This balance of being real, being authentic, saying what's on your mind, and still having empathy for people, still respecting people. If I just went around and said everything that came to my mind, like I said, I'd just be canceled, fucking fired, and beaten up. So maybe not everything, but can you say more on the nervous system piece? Like, have you noticed in yourself when you feel more regulated, safe, grounded, kind of flow state that you find you can just be kind of more authentic? Is that what you're saying?
I 100% have proven each and every time that I show up in a more authentic way. And I'll give you an example, conflict, right? I have tended to be either conflict overt, like being scrappy, and this lined up a lot when I was drinking a lot, right? So very few inhibitions, emotions that are suppressed rise to the surface, harder to keep things suppressed when you're taking some sort of nervous system suppressant like alcohol, right? So I tended to be either conflict overt in that part of my life, sometimes a little bit now still, or conflict averse, where I was like, anytime I say anything to anyone, it feels like there's going to be a fight. So I'm just going to be quiet, be polite, and keep it smooth. But that creates tension because inside I'm still like, let me think of an example. Just this morning, I'm in a forum. It's an a forum of Afro-Caribbean music, religion, and lifestyle, right? And it's a discussion forum where people post opinions, people post little known facts. It's a forum. It's not open to the public. People are vetted, but someone posted a topic, requested my opinion, and then fucking lit me up, insulting me, calling me Hernan Cortez, white people do this, white people do this, right? And so my instinct was to curse. Listen, you fat back Ozempic guzzling bitch. Like my instinct was to go in hard cut, hurt, insult, and flatten back generations with curses. And instead, I was like, I feel like it's very disrespectful the way that you requested my opinion. I posted my opinion, and now you're attacking me personally as opposed to debating my opinion. Right? So I allowed the conflict to unroll, but I allowed the conflict to come from a place of communication rather than a place of pain, pride, feeling insulted, right? Trying to prove something, hurt someone worse, etc. And so that's one example of many. But when my internal voice is, how many times have you heard this? Hey, CT, how's it going? It's great. I'm just happy to be here. Like, I'm really happy to have this job. I'm so grateful. Like, let's go team. Let's get some stuff done. And inside you're fucking dying. You hate your job. You're a sweaty mess because you were out drinking last night, and your inside and your outside don't line up. So you're showing up as two different people. You're nervous. You cannot settle in that circumstance. Does that make
Been
sense?
there too many times. Been there too many fucking times. Even with people that I like yourself, or like some friends, right? People that I've had deeper conversations with. We know each other decently well, and they go, "Hey, how's it going, man?" I go, "I'm doing all right." Fucking dying on the inside. So that's another example of, even certainly in the workplace, or where you gotta have to play it cool, but even with people I trust, sometimes it's like, why can't I say that, right? There's still that societal like expectation to be like, yep, everything's good, no problems at all.
Who expects you to show up like that?
I think we get that messaging.
I'm
kinda
talking
on a
about you. I'm sorry. I'm talking about you in particular. Who told you that you have to show up like that?
The truth is, no one. Probably me.
Oh,
Probably me. Yeah. I probably tell myself, oh, hey, if you don't have it all together, you can't show up. And if you don't have it all together, you gotta hide it. You gotta hide it, right? So it's, oh yeah, no, I'm good, man. Fucking clicking. Everything's good. And I'm just in emotional turmoil, right? So I'm getting better about opening up. I'm getting better about saying, hey, I'm not doing too hot right now. Right. And like we've talked about before, maybe now I'm a little better at it, 60% instead of 10% or whatever it may be.
yeah. Thanks for that. Sorry to drop that hammer right there in the middle. I'm talking about you.
It's needed, man. You should have fucking put the all the bullshit banner on the on the screen.
I
So
wasn't asking.
for those watching, we have a I call bullshit fucking alarm bell that goes off on this show. So just so y'all know. Yeah, man, it's a good point. So that's kind of what you're getting at with, I like the prompt. What if you said aloud what you think in private? Because that goes for situations like this where it's like, how are you doing? I'm doing well, but I'm really struggling.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I think that there's a balance point, right? I think that there's a balance point where I find someone says, "How are you?" It's not always appropriate to puke it out on the table and say exactly how I am, right? There's like a
exactly. Yeah.
setting, there's a time and a place that is appropriate, and I'm the one who has to measure that, right? And so sometimes I knowingly say something neutral, like what I'm trying to do in my process is be impeccable with my word and not say a lie, but not also say the truth. Right? Because sometimes if I feel like shit, and a waiter at a table is like, "Hey, how are you today?" I'm like, "It's really good to see you." I try to come up with something that's true and also neutral, right? Because a waiter they're not a shrink, they're not a coach, they don't really want to hear too much from me, I think. And so there is a place of balance, and I think that has to do with self inventory,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
The big issue for me, though, the magic question is, who told you that you have to show up like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where do we get the rules that we put on ourselves like that? Now, it's true in certain environments, like out in the fire department, it's a paramilitary organization, and you can and are punished for violation of rules and regulations for insubordination on duty or off duty. That's a fact, right? And so the way that I show up, or the way that I used to show up when I was at work, looked very different than how I would show up with you or how I would show up in a group of friends that had nothing to do with work. There was always that little parenthesis of all of this can be on record, right? So I choose to show up in a largely inauthentic way most of the time because that's not the place for it, right? That's in my opinion, for me. Were there times when we had a tete-a-tete with my partner in the ambulance alone in the middle of the night having a deep and authentic conversation? Sure, of course. But I chose to always keep a little bit of an insulation because it was work. And also, I don't really want people at work to know too much about what's going on in my mind, my heart, or my private life. Just for me, it was like the more those become enmeshed, the sloppier it can be later, the more messy it can become. And so for me, it was like work, Danny, personal Danny. And so I think that there's a balance and there's a discretion that's applied. And I'm trying to part of my plan, I guess part of my big plan when I made the decision to retire early was to have much more of an option to be authentic more times and more places with more people. Very much a work in progress. It's not there.
But when you feel like you're wearing a mask for 80% of your life, it starts to eat at you. It starts to eat at you, man.
I'm going to challenge you. I have a challenge and an invitation for you. Filed under Words Matter. I'm going to invite you to speak in first person as often as possible. It begins to eat at me. And just see how that feels. If it feels the same, different, worse, better.
When I was wearing a mask, 80% of my life in corporate, right? Since we spend the majority of our time at work. Yeah, that's certainly how it was for me. Started to eat at me. And that goes back to the prompt, right? To the topic. And that cognitive dissonance that comes from, I want to be a certain way, I want to be myself, but I feel like I have to hide it. I want to be, that was part of my leaving corporate and leaving a lot of things behind, a lot of habits, a lot of identities, drinking, smoking, working corporate, in all of those things, whether it was the bar or the fucking corporate office. I felt like I was not being authentic. And so, yeah, what you said about spending more moments more often as your authentic self, just trying to like increase that ratio, definitely resonates.
Thanks for that. I have a banner that I'd like to share with you. If you'll direct your attention to the bottom of the screen. Hold on. Oh shit. Can you see it?
I could see it before. I can still see it.
Get off my back, asshole.
What is that?
It says, Danny, get off my back. Stop asking me questions and leave me the fuck alone.
Oh, you're okay. Got you. No, it's all good, man.
There was a time, and I remember like having a few of these moments of clarity where I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Where I was doing an inventory of how I show up, where and when I show up. And I was like, I'm fake at work. I'm fake with my family. I edit myself all the time. I feel like a little hamster. Just running around all the time, pleasing people or thinking that I'm pleasing people or attempting to please people and trying to be everything for everyone and ending up being nothing for no one and being fake and hollow is how I felt a lot of the time. And I'm like, why am I doing this? This is the extreme of me being conflict averse. I don't want to say this because, and I will say, I try to leave politics out of these conversations, but living in San Francisco, California, I felt like I was trapped in a woke punishment carousel. You know what I mean? Like everything is offensive to everyone. So like, oh, I can't say that. Oh, I can't say that. Yes, yes, ma'am became something that was offensive. You know, hey, bro, it became offensive. Like, hey guys, listen up, became offensive. And so all the time I was like, everything I do is going to offend everyone. Everything I type has to be filtered, cleansed, you know, and it just began to be a burden, you know, where I'm like, I think that I should also be able to get a piece of this, you know, I can be offended too. If that wasn't my motivation, is to show up and be like offended and demand people use certain language. But I think the point is like, I just felt like I was spending my energy thinking about how other people thought, felt, needed to hear information, needed to hear words, and what that resulted is me showing up as like a ghost, as like a half person.
That I think probably 99% of the men watching can resonate. I think that's a huge thing in our world. I think the that kind of plays into this nice guy syndrome, this nice guy idea of
Mhm.
people pleasing and hiding yourself and seeking approval and a lot of shame, a lot of fear, um, filtering everything through what other people might think. Right? I used to be the most self-conscious person in the world. You know, every single thought was, "What is this person? How is this person perceiving me?" Every thought. That is not free at all. That's like mental slavery, man. You're a slave to the potential perspective and perceptions of others. While meanwhile, they don't even give a fuck because they're worried about themselves. So yeah, I think a lot of us can resonate with that, man.
Where would you say you are today in comparison with that old version of yourself?
Light years removed. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't move through the world 100%, like just not giving a fuck. But but that percentage has increased. And yeah, no longer really like if I'm at a traffic light or something in the car, like I'm not thinking about how is this person in the other car perceiving me. That was me, right? Before it was I'm in the gym. How are these people perceiving me? Am I doing this form correctly? What does this girl think about? Does she think I'm cute? Does she not? Does she think I'm weird? Am I a creep? Does this guy think I'm a pussy because I can't do as much weight as him? Everywhere I went, you know, was that, and hence the drinking, right? Because when you drink enough, that chatter starts to go away a little bit, and you
Mhm.
experience something that feels kind of free. Like, oh, I'm a bit free from this. I'm temporarily free from this disease that is self-consciousness, you know, fear of judgment, fear of rejection. And yeah, you wonder how somebody finds himself drinking night after night. And so yeah, for me, it's no surprise that when I began to work on that nice guy stuff, self-approval, um, letting go of what others think, dropping fear of rejection, fear of judgment, some of those other behaviors like drinking kind of just fell away. Come join us on camera.
Interesting. Yeah, for people watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, I put a link here. We would love to have you come and join us live. No pressure. There's no right or wrong answer. We just love hearing people's perspectives and opinions because each one of us has something to teach the other. I'm curious, if you think back to when you were in a place of approval seeking at the gym, at the car next to you, etc., would you have known if you ever got 100% approval? And if so, how?
There is no way. There's no way to know.
Mhm.
And I think that's part of the process of unraveling that and starting to pull away from approval seeking. It's to realize that no one knows or gives a shit, and it doesn't matter, right? Um, yeah, no. To answer your question, I would have had no idea. It's this. It's a. You're in a damn echo chamber in your mind. You're in a fucking cave with yourself, just talking. This person's judging me. That person's. But there's no external like. Oh yeah, they approved of you. They didn't approve of you. Like, yeah, man. It's
Almost as
that's why
though
I
the
called it a
whole,
disease.
yeah, I mean, almost as though the whole thing were in our imagination.
Exactly. Exactly.
Good afternoon. If you're just joining us, my name is Danny McAtee. This is my friend and co-host CT Duel. This is The Forge. It's a group for men, but when we go live, we talk to everybody. Everyone has a unique perspective, and when we're public, we love to hear from everyone. We call it The Forge because, like life, the forge is you take something hard and iron, you heat it, it becomes red hot, it becomes molten, you pound it, reshape it, and each time it goes through the process, it becomes stronger and more refined, just like us. Just like life can pound you and remold you sometimes. So we're talking today about what would happen if you said the quiet part out loud? What would happen if you said out loud what you think in your head? Or anything else? Open floor, but we would love to hear from you.
How does that come up for you, Danny, in relationship to others, whether that be a intimate partner, a friend, family,
I
saying
would
what you think?
saying what I think.
Yeah, like yeah, no.
I would say that you could put them all under two broad categories, which is one, rejection, or two, conflict. Right? Political opinions in particular. Like I just have not shared political opinions almost ever. Number one, because why? It doesn't really matter. You know, I'm not a policymaker. I have nothing to change. But also, I've noticed that, you know, in this toxic echo chamber of ego, pain, and insults we live in, as I mentioned earlier, I was in one earlier this morning. I don't really think that it's helpful. And so, but in person relationships, I feel like I've been around a lot of people whose politics I don't share. And for a long time, I felt like I had to stay quiet. Also, I'm in circles with mostly people of color, mostly Latin American people, Afro-Caribbean people, Black and African American people. And so I was in many ways a minority opinion. And I felt like if I expressed my opinion, which I believe is valid because it's based on what I've lived in my skin and my eyes, then I would be cast out. And so as a result of that, I just kept my mouth shut. Certainly the case in romantic relationships, the few that I've had. I was like, I don't want to say that this bothers me because then you're going to be like, fuck it, I'm gone. I mean, you know, I break up with you, whatever. So for me, rejection or conflict. What I've learned about myself over time is that, and this is very much a work in progress still, but I am not a person that does well when I'm cold. Like the whole fight or flight thing, fight or flight, I'm almost always fight. Like I can't run very fast, but I will back up against the wall and fight you until one of us has to die. You know, that's what sort of has felt like my psychology. And so when there is conflict, I'm like, let's do it. Right now, as I've begun to work through more and more of my trauma and my patterns and anger in particular, I now have a different approach to conflict and I can do it a little bit better. Still nowhere near there yet, but I can do it a little bit better. But if I were to zoom out and tell you why I believe it falls into those two categories, either rejection or conflict.
Mm. How does the nervous system and that of the person you're dealing with, whether that be your partner or friend, how does that play into all of this? Because it sounds like you kind of swing from either I'm scared of the rejection and the abandonment, so I'm not going to say anything, or it's like I'm hyper aroused and I'm going to fight you. You know,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
does that what dictates the response, or even when you found yourself in a more grounded, safe uh, state to communicate with a partner an issue or whatever it is, does it ever have anything to do with the other person? Like if they're dysregulated already and chaotic and wild, it makes you go into that state, or if they're grounded, it makes you feel safe. Like, have you picked up on anything like that with just in your experience? I don't know if that question made any fucking sense.
Yeah, you just asked a lot of things, so let me see if I could straighten them out. First of all, no one can make me react to anything. That's my responsibility. I'm the only person that can make myself react to something, right? So no one can cause me to react to certain. And also, yes, we are the sum total of how we are reflected in others. But the more settled I am in my sphere of control, like the things that I can control, my breathing, my words, my attitude, my movement, my location, the more centered I am in that, the less I have a need to fight somebody. Right? The less I reflect their aggression with my aggression. So this is why I brought up this question. So because if internally I am more authentic, right? I'm thinking and saying more of the same thing. That means I have less tension that I'm holding on to inside. Right? The less tension I am holding on to inside, the less likely it is for me to reflect your chaos if you come for me.
Mm.
Right? Hot head, cool feet. Right? So if the temperature raises, like this morning, the example I use that I was asked to provide an opinion about something, I provided an opinion about something, and then I was attacked personally for my opinion about something. And automatically what I felt was, this bitch came for me. Now I'm gonna unload, right? But because I'm more, and I say like a little bit more, because I'm a little bit more centered and tranquil in my nervous system, this person's chaos got much less of a response out of me. And I just said, it seems very unfortunate that you would use personal attack and insults to address a difference of opinion.
Mhm.
And if you don't think that I should be in this forum, then take me out of the forum. I don't really care.
Mm.
And so, yes, we are a reflection of our environment, but we are also, I respond to myself first and to you second. Right? So the calmer I am and the more I know what to do, what comes up for me, triggers, feelings, whatever, emotions, then the more I can handle what you throw at me or anyone else. So I don't know if I answered your 20 question spread, but
You did, yeah, you did. Yeah, that makes sense, man. It's like how I think about it with me. The initially old response, right? Phase one of my life was passive. Was I don't want to piss you off. I don't want to rock the boat. I'm just gonna play it cool. Nothing bothers me. Phase two was now learning how to assert boundaries, be assertive, but sometimes not getting it right. So sometimes going too harsh. So phase one was really passive. Phase two was like too much, too aggressive sometimes. And now phase three is I don't give a fuck. Phase three is more of a grounded. I'm not necessarily going to react to you if you do something that I feel is rude, let's say. I'm not gonna entertain it. I'm not gonna get in your face about it necessarily if it's just some stupid stuff. But that's from a place of self-compassion, self-respect, and assertiveness. Oh man, we got a guest.
Oh,
Eric
hi,
Hodson.
guys.
Clammy, how you doing?
Very good, sir. Very good. How are you, gents?
Excellent. Welcome.
Excellent,
Thank you for
man.
being here. Everyone, Eric Hodson is joining us.
I apologize for my tardiness. I had some technical difficulties finding the right link, but we made it.
No problem. Here you are. How are you today?
Very well, very well. Super stoked to see you guys. I love our topic today about trying to reconcile the inside and the outside. It's very cool.
Can you speak on it?
Only
What?
that it is very important and very hard. I mean, how to let go of the as you said before, the mask, being okay with the ugly that I am, and then also being able to, as you said, Danny, certain time and a place. You don't get undressed everywhere. There's a
Mhm.
place and a time to work with it. But at least knowing in your own heart that the two are aligned is the goal, I think.
Yeah, thanks for that. It's definitely the goal. I'm certainly not there yet. Maybe I'm at the 50, maybe I'm at the 50-yard line, but certainly not there yet. But I'm moving in that direction more and more,
Yeah.
especially when there's conflict or when there's like dissonance of any kind.
Yeah. I have had a couple of interesting experiences where when uh, when the mask doesn't match, it doesn't have any um, stability in it. Sometimes when people talk out of their concern for what other people think, they wind up not having any strength in their words. There isn't any sort of potency or endurance in what they're doing, and so it ends up kind of falling apart. And for me, that's what sort of began my interest and journey in wanting to realign that, not only because of the pain it caused me to have to live this schizophrenic existence or this duality of what I think is the real me and then what I have to project to be good enough. Um, but also that just people just didn't seem to have very much potency when they spoke out of what they thought other people wanted. So it's an important thing in wanting to be strong. Uh, if we want to get out of weakness, truth is the only thing that is ultra strong. So if you can get to your truth and be okay with it, even if you don't have to tell everybody, you don't have to wave it in front of everybody. But if you know it, well, then that's all you. That's the most important part. I know it. Now I'm calm. Now I'm at peace. Now I'm stable.
Mm.
If you had to speak to yourself 10 or 15 years ago about this topic, what would you say?
Let's see, 10, 15 years. So I'm just starting my medical career. Um, at that time, I had a huge imposter syndrome, and I was really wrestling with how to be one of the cool kids. Because apparently I started that game really late. Uh, but I would try to tell myself what you have in you belongs. Stop trying to act as though it doesn't.
Mhm.
The There's a lot of my personality just doesn't jive well with people. Um, and what I mean by that is I have a very artistic, a very um, not quite eccentric, but certainly atypical way of doing stuff. I'm just a weird guy, like I went to drama class, like I was just an interesting, philosophical, deep in my head kind of guy. And a lot of my bros, they don't get it. They don't want that. And the last thing people want is to get heavy.
Mhm.
And it was hard to feel so alone, especially because I'm trying to reconcile um, really, really, really horrible things and wrestle with what I want to do about it, whether I even have the strength to do anything about it. Am I good enough? Am I worth it? There's all kinds of, like, I'm doing the whole spin, and I don't belong. I don't belong here. When I was a flight nurse, I had an issue with a paramedic who was a little bit too hostile towards me because he was a paramedic, and Danny, paramedics, they know everything. uh he's a really, really competent
Not me. Go
medic.
ahead.
But he, he's very, very smart, but he made sure to tell me that I wasn't. And I asked my boss, our boss, like, hey man, it's really hard working with this guy. I don't know what to do. And she told me, like, maybe people like you don't really belong here. Maybe he's right. I was like, oh, geez, man, talk about affirming the worst fear, right? But it turns out,
Not helpful, not
yeah, right.
helpful.
That was thanks for the big kick there. I'll be on the ground for a couple years trying to reconcile that.
Wow.
And then, but if I could tell myself, like, hey, the fact maybe, if what you're dealing with doesn't fit very well, it doesn't mean that you're broken,
Mhm.
that there is a time and a place for everything. And 10 years later, it turned out that being able to competently interact with people through their tragedy, or being able to be strong when other people are weak, or being eyes open and aware in very complex situations, turned out to be a kind of a superpower.
Mhm.
But before I had reconciled that, it felt like I was some alien, some uh, definitely lesser status, certainly not as deserving member of the team. Uh, so what you would tell yourself about reconciling inside and outside? It may be that what I'm going through on the inside right now is a problem, and with time and diligence, that problem will probably become your superpower. Hang in, be patient, outlast the environment
Mm.
that's trying to put you down.
Outlast the environment. Very, very well said. Very well said. Thank you. I will say that I wish you had told me that 10 or 15 years ago. Uh, because I noticed what I now know about myself looking back, and what I see in a lot of my clients and a lot of my friends, is that the horse in the ice rink phenomenon, right? Like you went to your boss with a legitimate ask for some assistance and some guidance. Hey, I'm noticing this. What should I do about this? You know what? Maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. Negatively reinforcing. Maybe he's right. Maybe you don't belong here. So many of us, and speaking for me personally, I know that I did almost 100% of the time internalize that to equal something is wrong with me. Not I have a
Yeah.
mismatch in my environment. Not, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm showing up wrong. Maybe the environment's not a match. Maybe the personnel aren't a match. Maybe I just have to, push through it, and next week it'll be different when we're all in a better mood. I almost always internalize it to something is wrong with me. I don't belong in this environment, instead of maybe this environment isn't right for
Yeah.
me, right? Like
It
maybe a
makes me,
horse shouldn't go to the ice rink, you know?
hey, but when you are shown ice skaters and you're told that ice skating is cool and all your friends seem to be doing just fine, horse they may be, you don't realize that there are structural differences in the way that we're all made that make it. And also, I think just that judgment piece, right? Maybe I could just say, I shouldn't have to keep up with strangers. They're not me. So why don't I just start competing against myself? Why don't I just start benchmarking against myself? Because I'm the only one who knows what I'm dealing with. So why don't I try to make me better, not better than them? Try to run my own race instead of trying to run everybody else's race.
Yeah. This is what you bring up, a really interesting point. This is what I like to refer to as speaking from a place of healing versus speaking from a place of pain. Speaking from a place of pain has to do with speaking from a place of ego, right? The comparison of myself to others is based in ego. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I don't equal this. Maybe they're smarter than me. Maybe I'm the odd man out. Maybe this, maybe that, maybe that. Right? As I was mentioning to CT earlier, the more firm and secure I am internally, the less of an impact my external world has on me as a person. Right? That's not to say that everything will be easy always. That's not to say that I fit in everywhere or everywhere is a fit for me. But if something isn't a fit for me, I can say what you've just said. What's part of me belongs to me, belongs there, and I don't have to be faulty in some way because there's a mismatch. And
Yeah,
that
that's
that is
powerful.
that's what the Buddhists call the death of ego, right? It's what they encourage moving toward. Again, I think I'm at the 10-yard line on that.
Well, I think the other idea that came to my mind when you were mentioning that is, if you're a horse in the ice rink, you're playing hockey. how much courage does it take to let go of the game that you're in so that you can get into a game that you'll win? And how much ego do you have to swallow to accept that I'm not going to play this game? I feel like there's a real need to be successful where I am instead of finding success, and as we get into a world and lifestyle that is so much more, there's so much variety, there's so many different ways to do anything. One of those benefits that we can bring back to ourselves is that, well, that means that I can win, I can be successful, I can be potent, I can be meaningful, I can work through my trauma, I can find my strength in a different way. I don't have to stand in a suit in a meeting, Mr. Protein Shake, always ready to go and win that game. Maybe I can find success in a different way.
Yeah, thanks for the visual on that, the suit and the protein shake. It
I'm just trying to picture
definitely.
every drug rep that I've ever met. I don't know why all the
Bro.
reps, they're just totally like, all I do is travel, talk, take boys out to dinner, and work out. It's like, well, that sounds like a good life. How long since you've seen your kids? Like, oh, it's been like 7 days. I haven't been home, but like there's a lot going on. It's like, yeah, sounds like it. I don't want to win that game. And I think that for me is that was a tipping point in reconciling my cognitive dissonance. I don't want to win that game. Right? Let's put people down, for example. Let's put people down. Let's try to become a very aggressive environment. Let's see if I can elbow my way into some sort of difficult thing. But I don't want to win that game.
Mhm.
Because just like how Peter Pan is a story of the boy that never grew up, he's king of the lost boys. Who wants to be king of the lost boys? That's like king of the losers. I don't want to win that game. And maybe there's a way to find confidence in letting go of one's ego because I don't want to win that game.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the best at stupid.
Yeah. There is 100% a way to do that. And that's part of the purpose of the group is that what it looks like for you, what it looks like for me, what it looks like for CT will all be different and will all be perfect because they're what we need in our environment. This concept of negative and external validation is, I have had two primary careers. I was a concert violinist and a paramedic in public health. In both of those environments, I was told over and over and over and over again, if I had a complaint, if I expressed self-doubt, if I had a concern, if I had a criticism, right? If I was calling out negative behavior, what I always heard was, not everyone's cut out for this type of work. Right. And so it was a subtle jab. And it was basically in my mind, I heard that like Marty McFly's voice in Back to the Future. And he's like, what are you, chicken? It was just like this. It was like a schoolyard bully challenging your inner child.
Yeah.
Not everyone's cut out for this work, McAtee. Maybe you don't have it. Right. And so one day I was like, yeah, maybe you're right. After years of like, no, I'll prove it. No, I'll do whatever. I'll go to the end of the earth to prove you wrong and succeed out of spite and drag all my misery and my angst with me. And one day I was like, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe not everyone is cut out for this type of work, or maybe this type of work isn't cut out for everyone to be in forever.
Yeah.
And so when we zoom out, we're talking about some philosophical ideas, but when we zoom out and bring it into a practical edible bite-sized piece for our listeners and for people who want to come to the Forge, we work on behaviors, beliefs, and identity. And each one of those has a different layer of complexity, and each one of those is more difficult to change than the last because it triggers our nervous system to move toward a comfortable chaos instead of an unfamiliar peace. And so the behaviors are An example of my behavior is proving. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove that I deserve to be here. I'm going to own my place at the table. I'm going to earn this. I'm going to earn this. I'm going to earn this. And what do I have to do to sacrifice in order to prove that? I have to not sleep. I have to not go to the gym. I have to eat like shit, right? I have to be angry all the time. I have to escalate and sedate patients all the time to prove that I'm right, that I'm strong, this and that. And so this is the order of things that we work in. And so for anyone listening, there is a continuum, and if it feels out of reach, it's not. We just back up a couple of steps and start talking and working there. But thank you for that, Eric. That was incredible. What is part of us is belongs there.
Yeah.
CT, how does this land for you?
Oh man, just want to thank Eric for coming on, dropping gems once again, man. Eric, I'm curious to go back to your early career, some of the doubts, right? Because what you're speaking on to me sounds like self-compassion. Finally arriving at a place of self-compassion, right? What did that look like for you after being told maybe you're not cut out for this, right? The worst fear of you're not good enough. What did that look like for you to reconcile and finally arrive to a place of self-compassion? Did that happen early in life? Did it take a decade? What did that look like?
It is actually so funny that you would call it that because I think that I am harder on me than anybody else. And I tell people that um, I project onto other people who are struggling. You're probably harder on yourself than anybody else. And I say that is because I know my failure better than anybody else.
Mm.
So when someone else can say like, "Hey, Eric, you're doing good, man. I've heard you're doing so good." I got this a lot when I was in high school and college. "Oh, Eric, you're doing so good for someone who lost their mom." I'm like, "Well, okay, yeah, all the two-parent folks out there have a leg up, I guess, and I'm just a hobbling." But so when you say self-compassion, I don't think that I actually am experiencing a kind of hold myself, love myself, we're going out for ice cream to talk about our feelings kind of a thing. Self-compassion, the way that I experience compassion to myself is is a way to hold the truth in its entirety. Yes, I screw up and I fail and I've let people down and I also try really hard, show up when I can and give myself grace. And my compassion is not a it's not an experience of being overly generous or in some way undeservingly beneficial towards. It's more like I totally see that you are not what you could be, but don't forget all this other stuff that you have been doing. That's all it just ends there. What else have you been doing? So when I'm told by my paramedics, my flight nurse, base manager, maybe you're not the kind of person, like you're writing this blog and you're like thinking a lot and you're sort of wordy. You're not really cut out for this. It's like, well, that hurts because I want to win this game. I've never had a job I loved more than putting on a fireproof onesie and flying around. It's the coolest thing ever. And to Danny's point, I think that, well, what does it cost to win? And I think that sacrifice for success is like kind of how I'm built as a guy. And I think that that's a great ladder. But the definition of a priority means that there are things you don't sacrifice. Winning isn't the point. It's being a world left when you win. If it costs me my marriage and my kids' relationship and my health to be the guy at the top, well, okay, there you go. You're the guy at the top and you have nothing but the top. And I think that the self-care piece is being more real about what I'm really doing and maybe being honest about what I really want. You know what I really want to do? I want to Saturday. I want to watch cartoons with my kid. I want to learn how to fix a transmission and work on my car. Like there's stuff that I want to do that has nothing to do with going into the rat race and trying to beat all the other rats in the maze. And I think that so for me, self-care, uh, kindness to myself is actually experienced by just being real to the whole. What's really happening? This is hard because I don't like that people are jerks. Well, do you want to hang out with jerks that bad? It's like, well, not really. Well, then see what else you can. Let's go explore for another game you can play, and maybe you can win that game that you'll actually enjoy playing. Because if you enjoy playing the game, now you don't even have to win to be successful because you're just keeping the game going. You're part of making the game fun. You make it better. And so I feel like that's how it is for me. Very wordy. I'm sorry. But I'm not nice to myself. I'm
Simmer
just
down, tough guy.
more honest.
But listen, I love it. I would like to ask you a question about that, Eric, if I may. Because the Forge is meant to be a group for men, how much of that phenomenon you just described of the rat race, of what we sacrifice in order to attain a goal, where our priorities fit into that algorithm, how much of what we believe about ourselves in that algorithm has to do with our role as men?
I think that men are built biologically to be pro risk, pro sacrifice, um, and pro care. And in contrast, I will just say that I think that women have that too. We're all people, but women lean more into community building, nurturing, uh, and they're much more risk adverse. So if as a man, I'm built to burn myself at the altar to keep the family warm, then I'm prone to behaviors that, when out of balance, will burn me faster than necessary. And so if I want to be strong and I want to provide and I want to win, but I'm in a cycle or a situation or an environment where that is being manipulated to my detriment, that is taking me out of the game faster than it should. Now I understand that I need to kind of put myself in check. Like, oh, I'm wanting to play, but this isn't the game I should play. So let's try to get more specific and precise. I'm a winner, but I don't have to win this game. And I think that as a man in a group like this, where you can be honest and complete and total with your situation with somebody, we can begin to tease out these ideas and these real struggles. Like, it's not just the challenge of watching people die at work. It's not just the frustration of management and the changes in healthcare. Like, I'm really wrestling with how I take this home. I don't want to be someone who takes uh, tragedy home anymore. So my priorities are changing the kind of hero I want to be. And I think that knowing that we started as children and we're going to end up old gray men one day, there will be change. So let there be change. Maybe we're about to evolve. We're all ready to do that.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Very, very well said. Thank you. To our viewers, Eric Hodson, who is a stroke and STEMI coordinator at a large regional hospital in California. And to give you some context about his comments about work and bringing work home and some of the stresses at work, which are unique to that environment. CT Duel, Danny McAtee, this is The Forge. We're meeting live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Central, 5 Pacific, and Saturday, 11 Pacific, 12 Central, here on Lives. And we have a closed group on Wednesday evening. There's a link in the comments for you to come and join that if you choose. We would love to hear from you, hear your opinion. Eric, thank you as always for coming on. Wealth of comments, experience, and information today. I appreciate you, Clammy. Clammy, why do I call him Clammy?
You
I
guys
call
are
him Clammy because
fantastic.
that was, yeah, Clammy was his call sign when we worked together in Haiti a number of years ago. So he's inside job, but this is Eric Hodson, CT Duel, and Danny McAtee, and this is the Forge Men's Group. Please add your comments. You can reach CT and myself at this link here. Sorry, I'm learning how to be a producer. And here we go. CT Duel at ctduel@gmail.com. And here are Instagrams at McAtee Danny or at CT Duel. Come join the conversation, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you.